What's up guys, it's Scoopman5000 back for another action figure review, and today we're looking at the LooseCollector Dynamite Comics Vampirella. And not only that, this is going to be a twofer, because we got the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive in the black costume. Why did I buy both? The world may never know. I probably should have got Red Sonja or Purgatory, you know, a different character, but here we are. I got two Vampirellas. Very similar packaging for two very similar figures, but they did go the extra effort. They photoshopped the black costume. And you can see that on all sides, all this beautiful artwork on each side and on the back here. Same bio, everything. Let's get to it. Let's get these ladies out of the package. Take a look at Vampirella. And here's our Vampirella figures out of the packaging. And for the accessories, pretty decent spread. And I'd hope so for the price of these figures. So starting out with the hands on the figure, you get a pair of relaxed hands. Then you get a pair of open claw style hands. And a pair of grips. In those grips, you could stick these daggers. You also have a little bat friend for Vampirella. The default head is the nice, pleasant face. But then you get the fangs out version. And you're also getting the plastic cape. Not really a fan of plastic capes, but here we are. And now for the black version, all the same stuff in the packaging, but the claw hands are covered in blood, as well as the angry face. And here we are, some beautiful figures from LooseCollector, and it's kind of LooseCollector's brand at this point, the comic babes of the pulp, Dynamite, Coffin comics, and of course we just got the Crypt, which is much different, but still all in the same realm, you know, it's all ghouls and demons and cool stuff like that we all like. So we'll go ahead, we'll take out the Big Bad Toy Store version for now. There you go. I will say the black costume I think is painted a bit sloppy in comparison to the red. There's also a bit of slop on the red. We'll get into that. Those red hands and of course the bloody fangs is a nice effect, but we'll put her out of the way for now because really they're the same figure. Vampirella. Now you could look at this and say, you know, why would you want a figure like this on your shelf? And while there's an obvious answer to that question, I think it's a bit more than that. I think Vampirella and the things of this nature kind of ride that line between trashy and classy. You know what I mean? Like, this is art. This is elegance in a way. But I could see someone on the outside being a little sus of picking up a figure of this magnitude. But what can I say? I bought two of them. Up at the head sculpt here, I think they did a pretty good job. The LooseCollector faces kind of interesting because, you know, you see the prototype pictures. When you get the factory stuff, it's not always one-to-one. And I think the biggest disappointment was the Tarna from Heavy Metal. I canceled that figure because I don't like the face on it. But they are getting a lot better, I think, with Vampirella here, and Red Sonja looks great as well. I got to pick that one up. And you got the nice purple shading of the eyes. And I think that is a pretty big part of Vampirella, I think, at least, is the purple eye shadow. I'll show you here, the hair is removable, so this is how the other heads come in the package. I mean, you're never going to see it like this, and thank God, because that's pretty horrifying. Let's get the hair back on. It's got this windswept direction to it, and there is no alternate version, which is a shame. And then we get into the costume, the iconic costume, or lack thereof, for Vampirella. And it's done very well. You know, something I never noticed was this emblem down here. The white collars there, the gold details, even some sculpted detail. That was definitely not necessary, but it's appreciated. And I think while this figure was being produced, they actually went in and enhanced the proportions a bit more. They listened to the fans, and see, that paid off for them well. And, you know, I feel like LooseCollector is kind of filling a gap where something like Marvel Legends, like when we had the HasLab, and they took that character, I don't even remember the name, but they really butchered the costume. But I'd love to see someone like LooseCollector take a crack at it that's not afraid to give us a figure like this. The gold color is pretty decent. You know, gold plastic can look bad sometimes, but I think that they found a decent one. And you gotta love the red fingernails here. I will note too, there's a shading all over the body. Now again, back to that Tarna figure, not to harp on it, but the shading looked awful on that from the pictures I saw. This one, it's a lot more subtle. So again, they're making improvements. They're listening to the fans. Around the back here, you could definitely see the shading going down the spine. And I forgot what I was saying. But when we go back to the front here, not much else to go over. The legs look good. And then the black boots with the heels. It stands decent of a figure. You know, the heels are always going to be a problem, but I think this is better than most. You see, I just put her down like that. I'm sure if I shook the table, even that. So, you know, we're doing good. For articulation, the head is going up. Pretty decent. It's better than a lot of figures we get from the big companies. Head looks down decent as well. and side to side, but there you saw the hair. Kind of looks stupid. For the torso, it's done like most Marvel Legends. I'd say the whole figure is basically like a Marvel Legends articulation scheme. See, it's a ball joint up top here. You see the outfit does continue up, so it doesn't break it up in that way, but when you go side to side, you start to lose your suspension of disbelief, I guess. There's not much way around that. This is the best that you could get with a figure of this style. Shoulders have a really deep cut, so I'd imagine it's going to go way up, and it does, which you can get some nice poses. Bicep swivels there, cut right underneath the gauntlet on the arm. A very nice touch. Single elbow, but it's past 90, and then up and down hinge. I always notice the LooseCollector hinges on the hands are always pretty loose. Not a huge problem, but just something worth noting. No articulation around the waist. Not kicking back at all because of the dump. Kick forward is okay. It's decent. Thigh cut's pretty low, which reminds me of like DC Mattel figures. There is a cut there. I mean, that's stiff as hell. I'm not even going to try. And then for the ankle, it's got a hinge and it's got a pivot. And I'll bring back the black version because I think there is some paint slop with this red and the black on this one for the outfit. Kind of towards the ribs here. Some dots on the red version. And then the outlines over here bleed over. On this side, the outlines aren't actually painted enough. So it's not the best of paint jobs. Like, it's something you'd expect on like something of a Marvel Legends, but this is a lot more money than that. So take with that what you will. For comparison, let's start it out with some LooseCollector product. It's kind of the figure that put him on the map. Lady Death, and I think it still holds up. Looks great next to both versions of Vampirella. And then here we go with Hellwitch, who I know the least about in terms of character, but it might be my favorite of the figures. Something about all the silver details, even the piercings on the face look great. Very similar costume and body shape for these two, so these will definitely play nice together on your shelf. Before we moved up in scale, I wanted to see her next to the Marvel Legends Blade. This is a really old figure. I got a custom jacket on him, but I feel like I thought these would scale better. I guess I'm going to have to go with the Select Blade. And here we go with a Mythic Legions. This is like a big vampire ogre looking dude. I'm not a Mythic Legions guy, but I like me some vampire, some Raw 2 looking dudes. And this one just couldn't, and I couldn't let this one pass me by. So there you go. He could be like a minion for Vampirella. And then he's too big to fit in the frame. Here we go with the Monster Hide. That's going to do it for Vampirella figures from LooseCollector. And this is a great set right here. Do you need both? Absolutely not. Do you need the black version at all? They never made it, probably not. But, I don't know, something about those bloody effects got to me. I didn't mention it, but you could just interswap those parts if you want a bloody red version. But I think, you know, at the very least, this could be your elegant, your beautiful Vampirella, and this could be the business Vampirella. Something like that. Or you could just put them on separate shelves. They're great stuff. I definitely got to pick up Red Sonja, Purgatory, and he's also coming out with La Muerta, along with a couple other characters I have no interest in. But LooseCollector, really killing it. Oh, I'm forgetting the Rocketeer, too. Great selection. I think LooseCollector has good taste. He's getting good characters and product and figures that look great, that are cool, and that we want as collectors. I think Vampirella, among the top of that list. Everyone should have Vampirella. Like I said, an icon, a cultural icon, an American icon. I think you need one in your collection. As always, I'm going to leave it off with some figure photography, and you can check out my library on Instagram, scoopman_5000. I'm also on Twitter, and you can check out my second channel where we're talking about Marvel and DC movies, and I'll see you guys in the next action figure review.